Welcome to the Manceptional podcast. I'm your host, Ken Arcega. So this will be my first, what I'm going to call MBR, which is a mini book review. And I will, from time to time, review books that I am interested in, of course, that I think will add some value. Now, these are not going to be full word-by-word reviews. I'm just going to give some highlights, pertinent highlights, and if interesting to you, purchase the book. So I'm going to start out with a book called Blitzscaling by Reid Hoffman. If you're not familiar with him, he was the co-founder of LinkedIn. He's been on the board of PayPal, Zynga. He has worked with Airbnb, and he's with one of the big venture firms, VC firms in Silicon Valley, a billionaire. So he kind of knows what he's doing. And I'm picking this book because I've spent the last couple of years making a web service application and made a lot of mistakes and basically didn't do most of what he's suggesting here you're supposed to do. So I am going to go through some of the top ideas that he mentions in the book, talk a little bit about them, and let's just go from there. So first of all, when you do a startup, and I should say probably applies to any startup, but I'm thinking of the internet web service type startup that you think of, a Silicon Valley service, like Airbnb I mentioned. One of the most important things you need to do, keep in mind, is to go fast, meaning jump in there, get started, and start engaging with customers. That was the first mistake I made. My partner and I spent a lot of time thinking about what we wanted our product to be, what the target market was, and then we kept changing that and kept changing the software. In the meantime, we never actually had anyone try it. So a lot of time went by. Not to mention personnel changes and problems with hiring outsourced coders from all over the world and the like. So big idea number one, as Reid Hoffman would say, is speed over efficiency. You want to get your app or your product out there as fast as possible. A couple reasons why. One, you don't really know what's going to hit until you get it out in the market. Doesn't matter what you think is going to happen until you actually do it and people actually respond. You have no idea. So you need to get it out there, get feedback, make adjustments. Maybe your idea sucks and you should stop right there. Maybe you just need to pivot a little bit. So get it out there fast. That's the first idea. Secondly, big defense is, or the best defense, should I say, is a good offense. So if you get out there and scale really fast, find something that the public likes, scale it super fast, it gives you a big lead, gives you a little bit of a barrier to entry from other people trying to get in and get your space. You get all the attention, and basically you need that, then you'll get money, you'll get press and the like. So just go offensive and don't worry about defense. Third idea. And I didn't do that yet because I hadn't gotten out and even engaged with customers. Third idea is that you're going to have to iterate, okay? Like I mentioned before, whatever idea you think is so awesome, there's a good chance it's not going to be. People aren't going to react the way you think they are. So you need to get something out there, get feedback, get data, and fine-tune and see where that sweet spot is. Simple as that. Fourth idea, some of the growth factors that you need to take into account is that before even getting in the market, really, how big is the market? If you're in a tiny, tiny, tiny market, it might not even be worth putting your efforts into a solution because you just won't make any money. I mean, let's face it. How are you going to distribute your product? In the case of software services, it's fairly easy these days to get an app made. Well, I shouldn't say easy, but it's a lot easier than building a plant and trying to build a car, a physical type thing. So how are you going to distribute, social media and the like, get the word out there? What are your profit margins going to be, right? it's easier to provide a service, software service, than it would be, let's say, I'm just saying, making a Tesla car, something high tech with physical raw materials, is hard to do and make the profits work and put a sellable price in the market. And then also network effects, like I mentioned. How can you get the people that are using your product to tell other people? Online with software, it's a lot easier. Look at a Facebook. People telling friends to join, and they make suggestions to get other friends, and it just kind of blows up and can go viral on itself. So the fifth idea, somewhat what I mentioned, is network effects. Basically, the ability of the users you come in to expand the product for you. I gave the example of Facebook, or let's say Instagram. People come in, they put their information in, and that draws more, or pictures, and that draws more people into the platform. So basically, people using your platform are growing your platform for you. It's not like you have to do a lot of advertising for it. So that's a good one, and you can see that in the popular apps. Now, you want to also take a look at some growth limiters. So again, you got to get a product that fits the market, and you want to also be able to make sure that you will be able to scale this thing. Let's say, I'm going back to physical products, which I tried doing some e-commerce. If you're trying to make your own products, which I did some white labeling, and if something blew up, it would be hard to scale. You have to put an order in, there's time delay, there's upfront capital. Those types of things have killed a lot of businesses. It's a little bit easier with internet type services. There's a lot of scaling you can do in the cloud. You can outsource people or what have you, but that's something to keep in mind. Okay, idea number 7, the founder, which is the role that I was in with my partner. Basically, what are your roles going to be? They're going to change. When you start out, you are basically going to be doing everything. You're thinking of the product, you're making the product, you're doing all that type of decision making. You're going out and trying to get customers yourself. You're walking down the street, walking into stores or what have you. This will change over time as the organization grows, and you're going to have to be a little more strategic and manage people. So there's many different levels of growth, but if you're getting to those other points, that means you have something. So just deal with it when you get there. 8th idea, and that follows a little bit what I just talked about, which is the transitions of the different levels of your company. Okay, operating. You're going to have people that maybe started out doing 10 things. Maybe they're going to specialize just in marketing, or what have you. You have teams under them, and you're going to have to worry about communication between everyone in the company, all that operational stuff as the company grows. So those are operational business stuff as opposed to just the product, but very important, something that you will have to balance. So this next big idea is filled with counterintuitive rules. These don't seem to make sense business-wise, but when you're trying to grow at Blitzscale, it does. So first one, subset number 1 would be ignore your customers. Now, that doesn't sound right? The customer is always first, customer is always right, all that. But what he's saying is there might be a whole bunch of little things that customers want fixed, this or that. Hey, this is spelled wrong, or what have you, little things. But you could have all your time totally taken up on fixing all those small things when you really need to look at the big picture. You might need to iterate and completely change your product, or needs to go in make a big direction change, and you need to focus on those things as opposed to getting bogged down too much. So ignore your customers, meaning ignore your customers on things that you can put off till later. You got to get to your sweet spot, and you got to get it fast. Second one is embracing chaos. Talked about this already. Everything's going to go haywire. In my experience, just getting our application built, things went wrong. You've got a bunch of people, especially as I mentioned, I was outsourcing from people all around the world, and things will go wrong. Even partner stuff, people initially interested and then don't become interested, And, that's just part of the game. Next one, bad management. Okay, so there's a lot of management books. I've read a bunch of good ones, like Jocko Willink on extreme ownership, leadership, and the like. Thing is, when you're moving fast, you're not going to have time necessarily to be worried about all the management stuff. You just got to keep running. Everyone is along with you. Think of a group of people, and you're just running a marathon, and you're running down the street. Someone falls, the group's got to keep going. Okay. Next one is hiring Mr. or Miss right now. What that means is you can't worry about if a person is going to be there in 5 years running the company, what have you. If you need something done now at the stage you're in, you need to hire someone that can take care of that now. And you got to just keep going, one step at a time or one leap at a time fast, and just get done what you got to get done now. Another one is letting the fires burn. Kind of goes to ignoring your customer. There's going to be a lot of stuff going wrong, but you still got to keep running. If you stop and try to fix every little thing, you're going to get bogged down. And trust me, I got bogged down a lot. And, after 2 years, I barely got anywhere. So I agree with that one. Okay, do things that don't scale. Now that totally doesn't seem to make sense, because this whole topic is about blitzscaling, scaling fast. But what they mean is at the beginning, especially let's say you're a founder, you need to get out there with a customer, maybe handhold them, like with our app, help people take pictures of their products and upload it and help them enter information and do a lot of dirty work. Obviously, that's not going to scale if you have 10,000 customers. But what you're trying to do is see how a customer would use your product. You're trying to learn, get data, and then eventually that information you could relate to someone else and have them do what needs to be done, or then put it in code and automate it so it does scale. But at the beginning, you have to do a lot of manual work, and that's just the nature of the beast. So those are the biggest areas for the counterintuitive pieces. And the last tip is tip number 10, defending against other blitzscalers, basically your competitors. Everybody is sprinting towards that finish line. You're trying to get the biggest, fastest. Again, when you're the biggest, when you're the fastest, you can get the biggest, you get the money, you get the attention, better chance of being able to fix problems and make it work for the long haul. You're going to have competitors doing the same thing. If you can't beat them, try to beat them first. If you can't beat them, maybe you buy them. Maybe you just partner, the companies absorb each other, what have you. But you really need to get there first, is the bottom line. So those are the basic tips from the book. I found it very insightful. I guess one thing I did learn was that saying here about your MVP, your minimum viable product, is that you should be embarrassed by it, meaning you've put it together and you're showing somebody, you're kind of embarrassed. What that means is that you are putting something together fast enough just to see if it works so you can get feedback and fix it. This is, and I'll leave you with this. This was the one mistake that, or one big mistake that I made with my partner, is that we were trying to make something that was too perfect, like a finished product. We were calling it an MVP. We were calling it basic functionality, minimum viable functionality, but we kept fixing stuff to make it better, and we never actually got it in front of people. So get it out there fast, iterate, get big, and work on the rest. Fix that plane while you're flying in the air. That's the bottom line. So to summarize, this book, I think, is extremely useful for anybody that wants to get big, especially in an internet style type company, but it would apply for any company. Reid Hoffman is a billionaire by doing just this. LinkedIn, I mentioned, Airbnb, PayPal. These are huge success stories. So the guy knows what he's doing, and it pays to take heed. My personal experience, I made mistakes and didn't follow these rules, and didn't get it off the ground. So again, the book is called Blitzscaling, It's by Reid Hoffman. Hope you enjoyed this MBR. I'll try to be a little smoother as I go, but just want to get it out there. Okay, have a good one.